Yeah, of course. And as now I can speak, when I met my wife, not only one of the things that her physical attributes was one of the first things that caught my eye, but then on top of that, as we started to court, it was interesting that during that season, during the time of her, I would say the patriarch of her family, Mr. O.T. Graham, he was an individual who a lot of times, and it was weird because like we go to her family reunions and people would say, you have attributes of this man and this, that, and the third. I think that's probably one of the other reasons why that kind of attracted her to me. But I would sit there and I would literally talk
Definitely.
to this man, and he would have the Spanish, boxing on, or Spanish wrestling, good old, Sabra Gigante and all that other stuff. And he'd be sitting there, he may not understand, and I would sit there and have conversations with him. I would look him in his eye, and and I guess from that standpoint, and even her grandmother, and they they kind of, and uncles, and but they all kind of gravitated towards me. It's like, this guy's kind of different. I would come in the house. I knew I was respecting someone else's house, but I didn't walk in the house like I was sneaky or shady with it. And that's why even to this day with our own children, there are times where as parents or as we, deal with situations that occur, I like to come from the standpoint of just being not so much shooting from the hip, but I'd rather be upfront with it. I'd rather tell you, and I know sometimes it comes back to bite me in the behind, but sometimes it's better to be honest with certain things that's going on around you and put it out there, then we can work with it instead of people in this day and age are too many times, and that's why it leads to a lot of divorces and a lot of people dissolving their relationships even if they don't make it to that point of marriage, is that y'all got too many things on the side that your eye is wandering. You're wandering eye. If you found the good thing, and it's not about getting biblical, but once you find a good thing, you settle down with it, you chill with it. One of the things I understood even before I met my wife, and she knew I dated other girls, there's a difference of dating and courting.
Oh, that's good.
There is a difference. There's a difference of dating and courting. See, you can date many people. I can go on this date. It could be a blind date, and all of a sudden y'all in the sack, and you trying to figure out how did this happen. You don't know how this happened, and next you know, that one night can end up into a mistake. Now courting, now you trying to get to the point. I want to know who I'm thinking about building my life with. When you're courting, and that's when it's going to go into more of her questions that she got from the conclave. But when you're courting, you're not thinking about more or less about just whatever physical stuff is going on or what you're trying to get at that particular moment. You're thinking more long term now. Because now, if you're courting, you're thinking about, yo, am I really thinking about making this young, changing her name? If you have enough, cojones, and enough foundation and strength within yourself to say, you know what, I have the ability to change someone else's name and to sire or to be with this person because I wish to sire and to grow and to build a family and stuff like that. That's when you start understanding that there's a bigger difference, and that's part of the motivation that comes from the couples motivators. We're going to deal with subjects at times that we can tell a dater from a quarter. See, you can tell someone who's a serial dater and is, why are you always serial dating? Why are you always all over the place dating, 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 dating? One or two things is going on. Either he hasn't found himself yet, or it's just about lust. And that's not someone who's settled down with. And until that person gets resigned within themselves, that they're ready to settle, and it's not settling because like you're leaving stuff on the table, or you're not going to have the ability to keep commingling with everything that's walking around. But when you say settle, that means you've now gotten the firm foundation within yourself to say that, you know what, I'm settling because I know I'm better. I'm settling because I'm allowing myself to become more structured and say, you know what? I'm not there just to spread myself around. I'm there to build something with someone that will be more beneficial to me in the long term. So when you hear people saying, I date a lot of dudes or I date a lot of girls, you have to you gotta hear the vernacular. You have to be smart with what's going on around you. Now, if you hear someone who's serious, like, yo, I've been involved with this particular individual for some time and it's getting serious. Now that's someone I can start working with, and we can start working with. But let me precursor that by saying the serial data will still work with you too. We'll get you to the point and get you some sense. And we're talking about male and female. Don't just think serial datas are just men. Because believe you me, in this day and age, I've seen some women who make a man just look terrible. And I'm not talking about in a negative sense. I'm just talking about she'll date so many dudes that you're just wondering, are there any mileage left? And the same thing goes for a young man. Just because you spreading yourself around, conquest don't really mean anything after a while. Because technically, it takes more of a truer sense when you can share yourself and bond yourself to one individual instead of realizing you're trying to figure out, you know, did I spread my seed? Did I fertilize so many grounds that I can't even keep count? So those are some of the subjects and some of the aspects that we will delve into, that we will jump into, and certain things you may not necessarily like, and we're here to push those buttons because it's not necessarily through all change there has to be pain. If there's no pain in change, that means you're not changing. If you're not giving up something, if you're not feeling uncomfortable during change, and that goes in relationships, even when my wife has 6 children, we are parents of 6, and each one of those children, she had to go through some pain for that child to come out individually. And I know she reminds me of this ever so often, just as a reminder, even though I was there for each one. But to understand that I didn't go through that physical pain, and through that physical pain allowed change to come forth, because what came forth was another child, another manifestation that was created in a womb, in a dark place, that's now coming out and manifesting itself into a more temporal and a more literal sense on this particular plane. But as my wife said, these questions that she got from the conclave, there's some very good questions, because women do structure themselves and get them around. They'll have their little meetings and stuff like that. And sometimes there's certain things that men can learn from women when it comes to stuff like that, and there's going to be times within the couples motivators where when we have seminars, I'm going to pull the men to the side, she's going to pull the ladies to the side, and we're going to get, we're going to do some real delving. And through that delving is going to allow certain experiences, certain thoughts, certain things that sometimes we got to check each other. We got to check ourselves. And we have to understand that, if we can't check ourselves, then you don't have the right to check out.